Officials in the U.S. and Israel say they are on high alert for Iran to retaliate against Israel for Israel's presumed airstrike on the Iranian consulate in Damascus, killing a senior general of the Islamic Revolutionary Guard and several other Guard members. Ayatollah Khamenei warning yesterday that Israel has to be punished and will pay for its mistakes. Joining me now is retired Admiral James Stavridis, former NATO Supreme Allied Commander. Admiral, we're told that this Iranian strike could come at any time. It would most likely target military and intelligence facilities. There have been communications via intermediaries in Qatar, in the UAE, and other countries to Iran saying, don't attack civilians and trying to get them to back off. What is your read of all of this? Where are we most vulnerable?
I think the Israelis are most vulnerable, meaning the Ayatollah has spoken. He has talked about an attack in retaliation against Israel. I would not be surprised to see an attack against an Israeli diplomatic compound. Could be a airstrike, could be a suicide bomber, could be any number of different methods of doing so. But I think Israel is the center of the bullseye. The Ayatollahs, I think, will try and confine this strike because they're really not interested in a wider war. Secondly, and finally, the U.S. is at risk, as in our forces in the region. As you well know, Andrea, a couple of months ago, we had a whole series of attacks from Iranian proxies on U.S. military in Iraq and Syria. They are clearly on high alert as well. But I think ultimately the Iranians will go after the Israelis. They'll keep it confined because Iran does not want a wider war here.
If it isn't proportional, if it is, a wider attack, is there, and if Israel can't defend itself with its air defenses, can we get involved? Would we? The president said yesterday that we are, that our defense of Israel is ironclad.
I think our defense of Israel is, in fact, ironclad. And you'll recall right after October 7th, we had not one but two American aircraft carriers, each of them with 80 combat aircraft within immediate striking range of the region. I think if, I think if Iran decides to go big, I think it's unlikely, but if they did, I think you'd see the president launch another American aircraft carrier, and I think we would get involved in that. But again, I want to emphasize, I think it's highly unlikely Iran chooses to deliberately widen this war because of the reason we're talking about. It would drag the United States in, and it would ultimately lead to an extreme degradation of Iranian military assets. They don't want that right now.
And very briefly, there was an airstrike by Israel that killed the 3 sons and grandchildren of Ismail Haniyeh, the political leader of Hamas, who has been part of the negotiations. And the 3 sons were, Israel points out, legitimate targets. They claim, were military leaders in central Gaza, commandos. The children, in the car, whatever the vehicles were. But at the very moment when Hamas was considering the negotiations, what was on the table, did you find that timing interesting? Was this just an opportunity they couldn't pass? I guess we're out of time, but does this strike you at all?
I think it's the latter. I think it was an opportunity to go after high-level operational targets. If children were killed, obviously that's tragic collateral damage. But I think Israel took the shot because they felt they could render a serious blow to Hamas. The timing is unfortunate.
Thank you so much, Admiral, and that does it for us. Chris Chansing Report starts right now.